We never know how we'll react to our greatest fears until we're forced to come face to face with them. That was certainly the case for these two friends. Lara and Maria were young women living in Barcelona. They always loved horror stories. "I don't know what I should read next," Maria said while walking next to her best friend. "Why don't you try something by Emilio Bueso?" Lara asked. "I don't like Spanish writers. I prefer something more mainstream." "We have great Spanish writers, Maria." She felt that her friend didn't always share the same interests as her. "How about we go to your house today and look up scary stories? Have a horror-themed night." Lara suddenly remembered a story she came across a few days ago. It had been circulating around their school. The hairs on her body stood up. "Do you know the legend of the blind maiden?" Lara asked as she walked beside her friend. "The blind maiden? What's it about?" "It's popular on the internet. We can read it together and test it out," she said with an intense look. When the two friends arrived at Laura's house, Maria was very excited about the story they were going to read. "I'm curious. Let's read it now." "We have to wait until midnight," Lara responded with a monotone voice. "Why? I know it's horror, but it doesn't have to be read at night." "I guess we can." "Do you know that there's a new moon tonight? It's absolutely necessary for this to work." "New moon?" Maria asked, intrigued. "When the moon is invisible." "I see, but what does that have to do with the story?" Maria was confused. "Come, let's read the story." Lara took her friend's hand and led her to the bedroom. The two friends sat at the computer and began reading. The story was like many other internet legends, which served to keep people up at night. "Is that why you were talking about the moon? Do you actually believe this is true?" Maria asked. "We could try. You can spend the night here." Laura was excited. "But it says you have to be alone and with the lights off at midnight on a moonless night." "I know, Maria. I know it perfectly," Lara interrupted. "Have you ever tried it?" "No." "Are you afraid? We're just going to rehearse it." "Okay," Maria sighed. She was concerned about her friend's sanity. A few hours passed. They had dinner and watched a horror movie to set the mood. At 11:55, Lara stared wide-eyed at her friend. "It's time. Let's go to the computer," she said with half her face hidden by the darkness of the room. The girls sat together, staring impatiently at the computer. They found the website that was mentioned in the story and tried to access it. Nothing happened. "I knew nothing would happen. You have to do it alone," Maria said, relieved. "I know. This has helped us prepare, though. We have the website now. Let's try it separately tomorrow and then share our experiences." "I guess we can try," Maria said, avoiding her friend's eyes. The next day, the girls woke up and went to their university. They didn't speak about what had happened the night before. In fact, they didn't speak much that day. Maria tried to avoid Laura. However, when they were dismissed from class, Lara caught up with Maria at the exit. "Hi there," Lara said, very excited. "Hi there." Maria was glad to see her friend acting like her usual self again. "Tonight's the night we visit the Blind Maiden website on our own," Lara stated. "Yeah," Maria answered when she saw that her friend wouldn't forget the deal they made. "It will be a moonless night again, so we have to try it. It's super exciting." Lara was eager to get home. "Okay, let's call each other once we finish," Maria said anxiously. When Lara got home, she sent a message to her friend at 11:55 p.m., reminding her of the rules for the optimal experience. "It's almost time. Make sure you follow the rules." Maria just responded with an okay. Lara left her phone on the bed. She didn't want anything to distract her. She sat in front of the computer with the lights off, and as soon as she saw the time in the corner of the monitor, she accessed the website. The screen was blank at first. Nothing happened. Suddenly, there were strange images. Quick flickers of frames with different faces, some of them eyeless children. One after the other, twisted with fear and mouths wide open. They were deformed faces with torn up skin and empty eye sockets, full of blood and darkness. The mouths of these people were grimaces of pain, while blood trickled down from what was left of their eyes. The images were terrible. Laura didn't know if they were real or photoshopped. Just thinking about those victims made a chill run through her body. She enjoyed that feeling of terror, that irrational fear from which she could not escape. Immediately, the images on the screen stopped, and a message appeared.
This website will take you to a whole new level of horror, a horror that will use all 5 of your senses. You must be very careful not to click on anything by accident. You will be faced with a real experience of absolute horror.
Below the text were 2 buttons, the option to accept or decline. The narrator warned the visitor not to click accept and advised clicking decline for safety. Laura smiled slightly. She loved that feeling of fear. The same feeling she got when she watched a good horror movie or read a book that kept her up at night. Of course, she clicked accept. The screen went blank again, but a moment later, Laura froze. The fear she now felt was very different, dangerous. Before her eyes, on the computer screen, was a dark figure moving slowly down a dark hallway. Laura couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her eyes widened. To her surprise, she observed on her monitor the silhouette walking inside her house. She wanted to wake up from this nightmare. She wished it was a nightmare. She couldn't take her eyes off the screen. The humanoid shadow with bony arms and legs kept walking, examining each door she passed. Paralyzed by fear, Laura couldn't move a muscle and watched as the specter approached the very room she was sitting in. Laura felt the greatest of terrors while the silhouette opened the door. Laura saw on the computer screen how the figure walked to a person who was sitting in front of a computer. The room was familiar. On her screen was her very own back. The pores of the skin on her back and shoulder prickled. This was her own room, and someone was watching her from behind. Laura didn't know what to do. She saw how the terrifying figure approached her back and raised her hands to grab her. She felt the muffled breaths on the back of her neck. Her instinct was to turn around to see if there was really someone else in her room. She felt a presence behind her, but was too scared to turn around. Then she felt a tap on her shoulder. She faced the fear and turned around quickly to see the face of an eyeless woman. The last thing she saw before she died was the face of a blind maiden, staring at her mercilessly with empty eye sockets, mumbling something she couldn't quite make out, then piercing her eyes with her sharp fingernails, digging and ripping them out of her sockets. And before leaving, taking a snapshot of her face so that it would forever be a part of the website's photo gallery. Maria stared at her monitor. Only 3 rules to make sure this was a success. You must be alone, check. You must turn off all your lights, almost check. She was too scared to turn off her desk lamp. And visit the website at midnight on a moonless night. Well, it was now 12:05. She had been debating whether or not she wanted to participate in Laura's silly game. Fine. Maria turned off her lights and went on the website. The screen was blank at first. Nothing happened. Then suddenly, one after the other, her screen was flooded with a collection of images of different victims with their eyes gouged out and facial expressions of silent screams. And then the site froze on one photo. Laura, followed by a pop-up message. Maria declined.